Commander Elias Ward sat inside the cramped cockpit of his small shuttle, staring at the warning lights that blinked red across his console. Sparks jumped from the controls as the shuttle shook violently, dropping through the atmosphere of an unknown planet. His mission had been simple: deliver diplomatic documents to a nearby colony world. But a sudden storm of magnetic interference had forced his shuttle off course, and now he was fighting just to stay alive. "Come on, hold together," Elias muttered to himself, gripping the yoke with both hands. Sweat ran down his forehead as the shuttle spun toward the thick green surface below. The hull screeched as it tore through the sky. Clouds whipped past the windows until finally, with a deafening crash, the shuttle slammed into a stretch of rocky plain. The impact threw Elias against his seat, knocking the air out of his lungs. For a few moments, all he could hear was the groaning metal of his damaged craft. Then silence. He slowly unstrapped himself and climbed out of the broken cockpit. The air outside was surprisingly breathable. The sky was tinted a strange shade of orange, with twin moons hanging faintly above the horizon. Around him, twisted trees with broad, glowing leaves swayed in the wind. The ground itself seemed alive, pulsing faintly with blue veins that glimmered under his boots. Elias activated the locator beacon on his wrist, but static hissed back at him. The storm above was blocking all signals. He was stranded. Taking a deep breath, he tightened the straps of his Earth Fleet uniform and scanned the horizon. His survival training told him he needed shelter, food, and water. But before he could take a step, a sound split the air, low, sharp, and guttural like a growl. He froze. From the shadows of the trees, a tall figure emerged. She was unlike any being Elias had ever seen. Her skin was a deep bronze, traced with faint glowing lines that pulsed like living tattoos. Her long black hair shimmered in the dim light, braided with silver threads. Her eyes glowed a fierce gold, fixed directly on him. In her hands she carried a long spear tipped with something that looked like crystal. The alien woman stopped a few paces away, her expression shifting the moment she saw him. Her gaze traveled down his form until it landed on the insignia stitched proudly across his chest, the dark blue uniform of Earth Fleet. Her face twisted with fury. Before Elias could raise his hands in peace, she lunged. The spear cut through the air and Elias barely managed to roll aside. The weapon slammed into the ground where he had been standing, sparks shooting out as the crystal pierced the rocky surface. Elias scrambled backward, raising his palms. "Wait! I'm not your enemy," he shouted. She did not listen. Her movements were sharp and precise, trained like a warrior's. She swung again, forcing him to dive behind a broken wing of his shuttle. The blade sliced through metal like it was paper. Heart racing, Elias tried to reason with her. "I don't know what you think I've done, but I've never been here before." The woman spoke in a harsh, melodic tongue, words that Elias couldn't fully understand. But her tone carried pure venom. The only word that stood out, repeated again and again, was uniform. Elias understood then. She wasn't attacking him as a man. She was attacking what he represented. The woman circled him like a predator, her spear ready to strike. Elias grabbed a piece of broken panel from the ground and used it as a makeshift shield. When she thrust again, he blocked the blow with a loud clang, though the force nearly knocked him off his feet. "I don't want to fight you," Elias gasped. The alien woman's golden eyes burned with hatred. She spoke again, this time in broken standard, her accent thick but clear enough. "Uniform, Deathbringer, Destroyer." Her words struck Elias like a blow. She believed his uniform marked him as a killer, someone responsible for great suffering. But before she could finish her next strike, a strange growl echoed from the forest. Both Elias and the woman turned as two hulking creatures emerged from the glowing trees. Their bodies were covered in jagged scales, their jaws lined with teeth that gleamed like glass. Their eyes glowed the same golden shade as the woman's, but filled with hunger rather than rage. The beasts lunged. The woman spun instantly, her spear flashing as she drove the tip into one creature's side. Elias didn't think. He grabbed a length of broken piping from the wreckage and swung with all his strength at the other beast, catching it across the snout. The creature roared and staggered back, but then leapt at him again. Elias ducked, rolling across the dirt as the woman leapt between him and the beast. With a fluid motion, she drove her spear through its chest. Both predators collapsed, hissing as their glowing bodies dimmed to black. Breathing hard, Elias wiped sweat from his forehead. The woman stood above the slain creatures, her chest rising and falling with exhaustion. She turned toward him again, spear raised, but this time she did not strike. Her golden eyes studied him with confusion. He had fought beside her, not against her. He had protected himself, yes, but he had also tried to survive without turning his weapon on her. Elias slowly lowered the piece of piping and spread his empty hands. I don't want to hurt you. I only want to understand. The woman's expression shifted, the fire in her gaze cooling slightly. Still, her grip on the spear did not ease. She took one slow step closer, eyes locked on his uniform. Earth, she whispered, as though the word itself carried poison. Elias frowned. Yes, Earth, my home. But I've never harmed your people. I swear it. Her silence was heavy, broken only by the wind through the glowing trees. Finally, she pointed her spear toward the horizon, then at him, then back again. Though her words were few, Elias understood her meaning. He was coming with her, whether he wished to or not. Realizing he had little choice, Elias nodded. All right, I'll go. The alien woman's face remained cold, but her attack had stopped. She turned sharply and began walking away from the crash site, expecting him to follow. Elias glanced back at the broken shuttle, sparks still rising from the wreck. He sighed, adjusted the torn edges of his uniform, and stepped after her. Whatever hatred she carried toward his people, whatever history his uniform symbolized, he knew this was only the beginning, and somewhere deep inside, a single thought burned in his mind. If humanity's past had touched this world before, it had left scars, and he, Elias Ward, had just stumbled into them. Elias followed silently behind the alien woman as she led him through the dense forest. The glow from the strange trees lit their path in shifting shades of green and blue. Every step seemed calculated, as though the ground itself watched them. Elias kept his hands visible, making sure to show he carried no weapons beyond the damaged tools from his shuttle. The woman did not speak, though she occasionally glanced back at him, her golden eyes sharp and suspicious. Elias noticed the way her fingers brushed along the shaft of her spear, ready to strike at a moment's notice. It was clear she trusted no one, not even him. After walking for nearly an hour, they reached a small clearing. A cluster of stone structures stood there, jagged and old, as if carved from the earth itself. The air smelled faintly metallic, and Elias could sense a deep tension in the place. The woman gestured for him to stay still. She crouched low, scanning the area, before finally motioning for him to move forward. Elias obeyed, noticing now that her movements were precise, almost ritualistic, as though this was territory she had defended countless times. Finally, they reached a natural enclosure that appeared to be her home or base. It was a small cave surrounded by glowing crystals embedded in the rock. She gestured for him to sit. Elias obeyed, sitting on a smooth stone while she remained standing, spear in hand. Elias took a deep breath. I know you must hate what my uniform represents, he said softly, but I need to understand your people, and I need you to understand me. The woman's golden eyes narrowed. Understanding is not for outsiders, she said, her voice low and melodic. The words were harsh, each one measured. Uniform? Bring death. You carry it, yet say no harm. I carry it because it is my duty, Elias said. Not to hurt your people. I promise. I'm just a human from Earth, far away from here. I've never been to this planet before. She shook her head slowly, her braided hair swaying. Many lies from Earth. Come before, many lies, many pain. Elias felt a chill. Lies, pain. What do you mean? The woman's gaze flicked to the ground. Your kind came long ago. Dressed like you, took much but left fire. Many die, many cry, many. She trailed off, her hand tightening around the spear. Elias's stomach sank. I don't know what you mean. I've never left Earth except for this mission. She fixed him with a stare that made him feel small. Lies or truth hidden. Same end. Pain remembered. Elias realized she had inherited a hatred passed down through generations. Her people had suffered, and she had grown up hearing stories of Earth warriors in the same uniform he wore. But he was not the same as them. He had to prove it. I don't know who hurt your people, he said carefully, but I want to help, not fight. Please just give me a chance to explain. The woman did not lower her spear. She tilted her head, studying him. For the first time, Elias noticed the weight of her past in her eyes. This was not just anger, it was grief, pain, and fear wrapped in centuries of history. You speak. But words do not change pain, she said. I know, Elias admitted. I can't undo the past. But I can choose the present. I choose not to hurt you, the woman paused. Her breathing slowed. She did not speak again. The ruins stretched farther than Elias had imagined. The glowing crystals along the walls cast long, twisting shadows across the ground, giving the place an eerie, otherworldly beauty. Elias followed Kareth closely, careful to match her pace and stay alert for any dangers that might emerge. "This way," Kareth whispered, motioning toward a narrow tunnel carved into the rock. The walls were covered in intricate carvings, symbols that Elias had seen before, but now they seemed to form a continuous story. He felt a chill as he realized the depth of history embedded in these stones. "Do you think we will find answers here?" Elias asked quietly. Kareth's golden eyes narrowed. "Answers? Yes, but pain. Follow too," Elias nodded. He had already learned that uncovering the past on this world was not easy. Every truth carried the weight of centuries of suffering. Still, he pressed on, determined to understand, and to help Kareth see that not all humans were the same as those who had hurt her ancestors. The tunnel opened into a large chamber, unlike anything Elias had seen before. The walls were lined with massive stone tablets, each etched with carvings of humans and aliens. Some depicted battles, others showed trade, cooperation, and peaceful settlements. Elias ran his hand over one tablet carefully, noting the detail in the human figures. They wore uniforms nearly identical to his own. Kareth's voice was tense. "See, same shape, same clothes, same death." Elias turned to her. "I understand why you hate the uniform, but look closely. These carvings, not all humans were killers. Some helped your people. Some tried to protect them." Kareth studied the tablet silently, her spear lowered but still held close. "Help, yes, but few. Too few, pain. Too much." Elias pointed to a series of tablets depicting humans building shelters, teaching Kareth's ancestors to survive attacks. "See this? These humans did not bring pain. They worked with your people, protected them from other threats. Not all humans are the same." Kareth's golden eyes flickered as she absorbed his words. For the first time, doubt mingled with her anger. Elias noticed a subtle shift, a crack in the wall of hatred that had kept her so hostile. They moved deeper into the chamber, where a large central tablet dominated the room. It was heavily worn, but the carvings were still visible. Elias brushed away layers of dust and debris, revealing a series of scenes. Humans in uniform fighting against rogue humans who attacked Kareth's ancestors. "Wait," Elias whispered. "These humans, they were not from Earth, they were rogue factions. They abandoned Earth long ago, became marauders, and attacked your people. That is why the symbols match my uniform. But it was not Earthfleet. It was something else, something gone." Kareth stared at the tablet in silence. Her breathing was shallow. Lies told as truth. Pain remembered. All humans. Blamed. Elias placed a hand gently on the stone. "I understand why your people remember it this way. But I promise I am not like them. I am here to help, not harm. I am part of Earthfleet, working for peace, not destruction." Kareth's grip on her spear loosened slightly. She studied him, searching for any sign of deception. Elias met her gaze steadily. He wanted her to believe him, not just hear him. For a long moment the chamber was silent except for the soft hum of the crystals embedded in the walls. Then Kareth spoke, her voice low but steady. "You, different, but same shape. Same clothes." "I know," Elias said softly. "And I will show you every day that humans can be different. That we can choose to protect, not destroy. That we can learn from the past instead of repeating it." Kareth nodded slowly. "Perhaps path can change. Perhaps humans can be trusted." Elias felt a surge of relief. This was progress, a fragile bridge between their peoples. But the past was not the only challenge. As they explored further, the chamber opened into an even larger hall. The floor was cracked and uneven, and the shadows of towering stone figures stretched across the walls. Suddenly, movement caught Elias's eye. Dark shapes slipped along the edges of the chamber, scavengers drawn to the ruins and the strange energy of the crystals. Kareth tensed instantly, spear ready. Elias reached for a piece of broken stone, preparing to defend himself. The creatures lunged, snarling and snapping. Elias rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding a set of razor-sharp claws. Kareth struck with deadly precision, driving her spear into one of the scavengers. Elias used his improvised weapon to knock another away, and together they fought as a team. Their movements synchronized after days of survival together. When the last of the scavengers fled, Elias exhaled deeply, wiping sweat from his brow. Kareth's eyes met his. For the first time, he saw something more than suspicion. Respect? You fight well, she said. You too, Elias replied. We make a good team. Kareth allowed herself a small nod, a gesture that felt monumental to Elias. It was a sign that their uneasy alliance was becoming something stronger, built on mutual trust and shared experience. After the battle, they examined the hall more carefully. Elias noticed a series of tablets that depicted maps, routes, settlements, and locations of past human attacks. With Kareth's guidance, he pieced together the story. Centuries ago, a rogue human faction had traveled to this planet, attacked Kareth's people, and left a legacy of pain. But other humans had resisted them, working to protect the locals. This explains everything, Elias said. The anger, the fear, the stories you grew up hearing. But it also shows that humans are capable of good, that we can change history, not just repeat it. Kareth studied the maps and tablets, her golden eyes reflecting the soft glow of the crystals. History, heavy, pain, still deep, but truth seen, perhaps, hope. Elias nodded. Yes, hope, and we can build on it. Together. As the sun began to set outside the chamber, casting long shadows across the ancient stones, Elias and Kareth made a small camp within the hall. Elias carefully lit a fire, respecting the fragile carvings and tablets around them. Kareth sat nearby, spear resting across her knees, watching the glow of the flames. For the first time, Elias felt a measure of peace. They had uncovered the truth, the hidden story of human involvement, the rogue factions, and the brave humans who had tried to protect Kareth's people. It was a revelation that could change her perspective, a bridge between centuries of mistrust. Kareth finally spoke, her voice quiet but steady. You prove different. Actions speak louder than words. Perhaps humans can be trusted. Elias smiled softly. I will do everything I can to prove it, Kareth. Every day, every step. I won't let you or your people down. She studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Path? Hard, but together maybe. Survive maybe. More. As night fell over the ruins, the firelight danced across the ancient carvings, illuminating the past and casting a hopeful glow on the present. Elias realized that history could not be changed, but understanding it, and acting with courage, honesty, and respect could shape the future. And in that moment, amidst the glowing crystals, the ancient ruins, and the distant cries of alien creatures, Elias knew they had taken the first real step toward peace. The hidden truth was revealed, and with it came the fragile promise of a new beginning, one built on understanding, trust, and the courage to change the world. The ruins lay silent beneath the twin moons of the alien world. The glow from the embedded crystals bathed the chamber in a soft, shimmering light, casting long shadows across the ancient carvings. Elias and Kareth had spent the day carefully studying the tablets, piecing together the story of the rogue human faction and the brave humans who had resisted them. Now night had settled over the land and a fragile calm filled the ruins. Elias stretched, rubbing the fatigue from his muscles. We've learned so much today, he said, looking around at the carvings. The truth? It's heavier than I imagined, but it's important. Your people deserve to know it. Kareth stood nearby, her spear in hand but lowered. Truth, dangerous, but needed. Many believe lies. Many and suffer still. Her golden eyes glimmered in the light of the crystals, reflecting both caution and curiosity. Elias nodded. And together we've survived the dangers here. That proves something, doesn't it? That humans and your people can work together. That not all humans are the same as those who caused pain in the past. Kareth studied him in silence. The flicker of the firelight danced across her face. For the first time, she seemed to consider him as more than an outsider or a potential enemy. Elias sensed the shift, a cautious respect forming, born from their shared struggle and the truths they had uncovered. Suddenly, a rustling sound echoed from the far side of the ruins. Elias tensed, signaling Kareth to be alert. Out of the shadows emerged a small group of scavenger clans, drawn to the ruins by the glow of the crystals and the scent of life. Their jagged forms slithered and prowled, eyes glinting with hunger. Kareth's stance stiffened. Scavengers. Aggressive. Must fight now. Elias nodded, adrenaline surging. He realized this was a test, not just of their survival skills, but of the fragile trust they had built. If they survived together, the bond between them would grow stronger. The creatures lunged, claws and teeth snapping. Elias reacted instinctively, grabbing a broken piece of stone from the chamber floor and swinging it to fend off the nearest predator. Kareth moved with lethal precision, her spear striking down one creature after another. Elias ducked, rolled, and struck again, their movements almost instinctively synchronized. For several tense minutes, they fought. Princess Lysera of the Zilthari Empire sat in the Grand Library, surrounded by glowing archives that floated in the air like tiny stars. The library was a place of silence, where only the sound of shifting holographic pages could be heard. She had come here often since childhood, not because she loved studies, but because she loved stories. And the strangest stories of all were the ones about humans. According to the ancient scrolls and fragmented records, humans had once walked among the stars. They were said to be bold, reckless, and unstoppable in battle. Some records described them as savages who burned everything in their path. Others painted them as heroes who rose from nothing to challenge mighty empires. But no matter how different the descriptions were, one detail always stayed the same. Humans were warriors. Lysera used to laugh at those stories when she was younger. A species like that could never exist, she once told her tutors. If they were so dangerous, where are they now? Vanished. That means they were weak after all. Still, something about the stories never left her. Even now, at the age of 19, when she was expected to focus on imperial duties, her eyes often wandered to the old records about humanity. She liked to imagine them, not as monsters, not as myths, but as something in between. Her people, the Zilthari, were proud and strict. Every child was trained for their role from birth. Every path in life was already chosen. Lysera was born to be a princess, so she was trained in politics, diplomacy, and command. But humans, if the stories were true, had no such restrictions. They fought and clawed their way through life, building their fate with their own hands. That thought fascinated her. One evening, as the glowing sun of Zeltor dipped below the horizon, Lysera was summoned to a council meeting. She entered the chamber where 12 counselors sat in tall chairs carved from obsidian. Their faces were stern, their eyes sharp. "Princess," one of them began, "we have news from the outer sectors. A derelict ship has been discovered near the border systems. Old, very old. Its design does not match any known species." Lysera tilted her head, curiosity burning in her chest. "And what do you think it is?" The counselor hesitated. "Some whisper it is human, but we assure you that is impossible. Humans were never real. They were stories, exaggerated myths from chaotic times. This ship is nothing more than ancient wreckage." Lysera almost smiled. They sounded nervous, even as they denied the possibility. "If it is only wreckage," she said calmly, "why not allow me to see it?" The chamber filled with silence. The counselors exchanged uneasy glances. Finally, one replied, "Because your safety is our duty. The border sectors are dangerous. Raiders prowl those systems. It is no place for a princess." But Lysera had already made up her mind. For years she had dreamed of seeing something that proved humans were real. She was tired of sitting in the palace while others told her what to believe. "I will go," she declared, her voice firm. "If the Empire is to be my responsibility one day, I must see the truth with my own eyes." The counselors tried to argue, but they could not stop her. By royal right, she had authority to inspect any discovery. And so, within 2 days, Lysera set out aboard her personal starship, escorted by a squadron of guards. The journey took them across silent stretches of space, where stars glittered like shards of glass. Lysera stood at the viewing deck, staring into the void, her mind filled with questions. What if the ship truly was human? What if she saw proof that the myths were real? Or worse, what if she saw nothing but empty metal and the stories she loved were truly lies? After 3 days of travel, her ship finally arrived. The derelict hung before them, a dark silhouette against the stars. It was massive, larger than any vessel Lysera had seen. Its hull was scarred with burns and fractures, but its shape was unlike anything her people built. The Zilthari favored elegant curved designs like blades made of silver. But this ship was all harsh angles and heavy armor. It looked stubborn. It looked like it had refused to die, even after centuries of battle. As her shuttle drew closer, Lysera felt her heart race. Her guards entered first, weapons ready, scanning for threats. Moments later, she stepped onto the ship herself. The air smelled of rust and dust, heavy with age. The walls were thick, designed not for beauty but survival. "This is human," one guard whispered. Lysera ran her hand across the cold metal. "If it is," she murmured, "then the stories were true." They moved deeper into the corridors, their footsteps echoing. Strange symbols lined the walls, letters of a language lost to time. Lysera stopped to examine them, her eyes wide. She had seen fragments of human writing in the archives, but never so much at once. It was real. All of it was real. The silence of the ship was unsettling. It felt as though something slept within its walls, waiting to wake. Every sound, the hum of scanners, the hiss of air vents, felt too loud. Her lead guard spoke. "Princess, we should leave. The structure is unstable. This ship could collapse at any moment." But Lysera shook her head. "Not yet. I need to see more. I need to understand who they were." They pressed forward, reaching what looked like a central chamber. Rows of empty pods lined the walls, their glass shattered long ago. But one pod remained sealed, frost clinging to its surface. Lysera approached slowly. Her heart pounded. Inside, through the haze of ice, she thought she saw the shape of a figure, a humanoid. She froze, unable to breathe. The myths had always said humans looked like the Zelthari, 2 arms, 2 legs, a face with eyes that burned like fire. But she had never believed it. Not truly. Yet here, before her, was proof. "Impossible," whispered one of her guards. Lysera touched the glass of the pod. The frost shivered at her touch, as though the figure inside had felt her presence. For the first time in her life, Princess Lysera realized that the stories were not just tales. Humanity had been real, and perhaps it still was. The air inside the derelict ship was cold and heavy, like the calm before a storm. Princess Lysera's breath formed small clouds that drifted lazily in the dim light. Her guards remained tense, their weapons raised as they followed her deeper into the ancient corridors. Every step echoed against the metal walls, each sound amplifying the silence that had ruled the ship for centuries. The frost-covered pod that Lysera had first seen held her gaze. She could not stop looking at it. The humanoid inside was motionless, yet there was a strange presence about it, as if it were merely sleeping rather than dead. She felt a shiver run down her spine. Something told her that this being was important, not only to the myths of humanity but to the galaxy itself. "Princess," whispered one of her guards, his voice tight with unease. "This ship, it feels alive." Lysera didn't answer immediately. She studied the pod again, tracing the outline of the figure inside. She remembered the stories. Humans were said to be resilient, clever, and fearless. And yet here lay one, encased in ice for centuries. Still, there was a feeling of power about it, a hidden force that made the hairs on her arms stand on end. "We need to open it," she said finally, her voice steady despite the nerves in her chest. "We have to know if it's real." The guards exchanged worried glances. One of them, Captain Thalor, stepped forward. "Princess, this could be dangerous. We do not know what might awaken." Lysera shook her head. "If we do nothing, we will never know. We cannot leave this ship without understanding it." With the assistance of her crew, she activated the pod's release mechanism. The seals hissed, and frost vapor poured into the chamber like mist rolling across a frozen lake. Slowly the pod opened. The figure inside shifted, making a small, almost imperceptible movement. Lysera gasped. The humanoid was tall, stronger than she had imagined. His skin was pale but not sickly, and his face, even frozen, carried the sharp features of a warrior. His chest rose and fell slightly, hinting at life or perhaps a stubbornness to survive despite the centuries. "Princess," Captain Thalor murmured. He's alive." Lysera stepped closer, unable to contain her fascination. She had spent her whole life learning about humans from faded stories, imagining their strength and courage. But seeing one in reality, standing before her after centuries, was beyond imagination. "Yes," she whispered, "he is real. And he survived all this time." The man stirred more, his eyes opening slowly. They were a striking color, like molten metal under the light. His gaze swept the chamber quickly, assessing everything in an instant. Lysera felt the weight of it. In that moment, she understood why humans had been feared. Even after centuries of dormancy, he carried the aura of a warrior. "What? Where?" His voice was hoarse, but every word carried authority. Lysera took a careful step forward. You are safe, she said gently. I am Princess Lysera of the Zilthari Empire. You are aboard your ship. You were in cryostasis, preserved for centuries. The man's eyes narrowed slightly, studying her and the guards around her. He seemed to weigh the situation carefully before speaking again. Cryostasis. Attackers. Last battle. His words were fragmented like pieces of a puzzle. Lysera realized he was recalling memories from the war long ago. You fought a great war, didn't you? She asked softly. You were a human warrior. He looked at her, surprised. You know about humans? His tone was skeptical, almost incredulous. Lysera nodded. I read about your kind in our ancient records. We thought humans were myths, but you proved the stories true. The warrior studied her closely. Then, I am not the last.